Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG. I'm Mike. I'm back. Thank you so much, guys, for holding down the fort, and I missed you guys. Today, we're going to be going over our Dynasty rookie rankings, the final one. This is it. This is the end. This is the end-all, be-all. This is the only episode you will ever need to watch for your Dynasty rookie rankings. You guys should watch all the other episodes because they're good and should help you. But without further ado, you guys want to jump right into it?
Let's do this.
Look at that. Tier maker, be gone. Now we have Google Slides in all of their glory. Look, exactly like a tier maker. It's just instead we're going to write names. That way people can just take the screenshot, look at it, take it to their rookie drafts, and absolutely crush it. I hope you guys don't mind. I filled in the S tier. This is the 101. Anybody have arguments, concerns, qualms?
Yeah, don't overthink this one. It's Jeanty. There's not much else to say. The dude's the best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson. You can count on one hand the amount of guys like in the last 20 years that have been this good.
Delightful. Evan, is there anyone else you want to put in the S tier?
No, because I think it's a very clear there's a couple you can make an argument for, but I think it's a very clear drop-off, especially in trading value. Like, I've seen leagues where 101 is just going for so much more than people are getting for the 102, 103. So that, to me, tells me that there should be a tier break. But like I said, if you guys want to make an argument for him, I'll totally hear you out. But I think Jeanty stands alone.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And I will say in one league, just to get an idea of how much the 101 can cost, one league I tried to trade Gibbs for the 101 and a little something else. I couldn't do it. Like, just straight up, like it would have had to be in Gibbs for the 101, which I couldn't justify.
Yeah, I think those are the same tier of player already, but it's, bird in the hand, bird in the bush. But Evan, who goes in the next tier? These are the guys you should be targeting with your 102, 103, 104 if they fall.
Yeah, the next tier is very quickly. Mike, you want to just let me do the honors of all three, or you want me to just do one?
I go for all three. Let's give the people a whole tier, and then I'll tell you if I disagree.
Okay, whole tier, Omarion Hampton, running back going to the Chargers. Look, we know the situation. The Chargers have that run-first offense. Realistically, though, let's pump some brakes a little bit. People are saying Hampton's going to have a top 10 season. I don't see that in the range of outcomes. The productivity. You know how healthy Najee has been as a plotter. You know how that offense continues to run and how they like to be able to kind of move the ball around and keep people healthy. So realistically, I see him as that low-end RB2, probably talking somewhere in that 12, 13 points per game. So don't be disappointed because this is a 26 and a future play with Omarion Hampton and less so as a 2025 play. Then there's going to be the wild card that we said before pre-draft, Travis Hunter. Look, people think Travis Hunter is the wide receiver one in this class. I have a hard time arguing with it. You look at his ball tracking skills, you look at the landing spot, he's going to be facing CB2s or whichever corner stays to his side of the field. That's going to bode incredibly well for him. Jacksonville clearly wants to make splashes on offense. They invested in the offensive line a little bit, and then they still have Trevor Lawrence, a.k.a. Golden Boy, the Clemson star, as he was, who has lost a little bit of his shine over these last couple seasons. And then, realistically, Travis Hunter, he's going to be learning two positions. So let's not go crazy with what we're going to be expecting out of him. This is another one that I'm really looking at Travis Hunter in his rookie season to be somewhere in that wide receiver 3 range. So I'm not going to be panicking if I'm not getting wide receiver 2 production out of him because he is refining both positions, although they already did say that he is going to be primarily playing wide receiver. Now, the third one in this tier should be Cam Ward because there is not another quarterback worth a first-round pick in this draft. And that alone in Superflex is going to push him up rankings to the point where if you don't have a top 4 pick, then you're not going to be getting Cam Ward. Or there is a very small likelihood. The argument against is, man, that Titans offensive line was horrendous last season. Okay, well, they paid some guys. They traded for some guys. They invested in that offensive line this offseason. So you put all that together, it's an offensive line that isn't going to be great, but should at the very least be middle to lower middle of the pack. They definitely took a step forward. And then you have the fact of he still has something to throw to. And they're probably going to be behind in a lot of games because the defense is certified cheeks.
So just to clarify, Omarion Hampton, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, A tier, 102 to 104, 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool.
I think it's pretty clear. I think Cam Ward is in that tier, mainly because of the quarterback scarcity. Teams need quarterbacks in Superflex. It's pretty clear. And if you ask the question, and this is how I try and make quarterback decisions, like the Kenny Pickett draft, going back to that. Is there a player that I would rather start week in and week out at my Superflex position that is a position player over the quarterback in this draft? And
Probably not.
I couldn't make an argument for any of the other position players that I would want to start at my Superflex position over Cam Ward.
Yeah. David, I know you have thoughts about Cam Ward, so I'd love to hear those. And then, Evan, I have feedback about Hampton and Hunter.
So with Ward, I agree he's an A-tier guy just because this is the quarterback class we have. This is the hand we've been dealt. And it's more about process than necessarily the results, because you have a guy with the 101 draft capital. He's going to bare minimum have 3 years of starting, unless he's Trey Lance, and that's the biggest outlier we've ever had. Zach Wilson got 3 years to prove him right. Maybe Ward's terrible. He's not the best quarterback prospect in the world. The Titans aren't the best fit. Nobody denies that. But we're not very good at scouting quarterbacks just as a species. It's a big flaw in humanity. We know draft capital is the most predictive metric out there. We know he has high draft capital. There's jobs on the line if this guy doesn't work out. And we know that a quarterback that is someone you can start, someone have year in, year out, is one of the biggest advantages in fantasy football. So if I'm having a chance to get the only one that has a realistic path to being a franchise quarterback, yeah, I'm taking him 103, 104. I'm comfortable with that.
Yep. Dave Kluge over at Football Guys, great dude. You guys should go listen to him and follow him at Football Guys. But he said that 80% of first overall picks at quarterback have played 80 games or more. I'm willing to roll those dice there. Even if he's not good, even if he's not, everything that we dream of, having 5 years of starting quarterback play is worth it at 102, 103, 104 in a super flex league. So, Omarion Hampton, this is going to be a weird thing to sift through all summer. The last running back drafted in the first round to not be an RB1 in fantasy as a rookie. Outside of injury, Travis Etienne doesn't count. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then behind him, there was another string of a bunch of guys. Running backs that go in the first round normally crush. So I'm trying to temper expectations, but there's also this underlying, yes, Najee is better than we give him credit for. Yes, the team should do a split backfield because they have this guy and they should let Omarion Hampton learn a little bit. There's a world where Hampton just takes this job and runs away with it. And I think worst case scenario, we're talking about an RB2, maybe, fill in RB3 kind of guy for 2025. 2026, it's wheels up, baby. Omarion Hampton season. The Travis Hunter conundrum is funny to me. They said that he's going to be playing primarily offense. He goes to a good landing spot. He gets the highest draft capital for a receiver in the 21st century, tied with Calvin Johnson. And we're still in redraft leagues. I don't know. Underdog, he's going as wide receiver 38 right now.
Oh my God.
He'll have some spike weeks that make him more valuable in underdog in that standpoint. But realistically, if you told me that he was going to be a wide receiver 3, so saying somewhere in that 25 to 36 range for this coming season, I would have no qualms with that assessment.
I think he might be better than that. I think we aren't giving enough credit to how good of a prospect Hunter is. He's going to get on the field on offense.
Yeah, I'd go higher than wide receiver 38 too, for just like what I assume he'll do in redraft.
And then let's also talk about the receivers that Trevor Lawrence has had success with. Like, it's a lot of underneath, it's a lot of separation, it's a lot of quick hitters. Is that Brian Thomas's skill set? Who does that sound like?
Good old Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter is going to be a PPR magnet, which is hilarious. Like, imagine
he's
if
not overtaking Thomas, though. Let's get that out of the way.
I don't think he's overtaking Thomas year 1. I don't even know if he will year 2, but I think it's in the range of possibilities, and I don't think ADP is reflecting that yet. Like, what if Hunter gets 120 targets and Brian Thomas only gets 100? I don't know. Food for thought. But do you want to talk about tier B, David?
Or is there anybody else that you guys think deserves to be in this tier?
Do we think that Tet McMillan should be there?
For me, I'd put him there. Evan, I know we disagree on that. Hello, Saris. Thank you for joining me.
Cat sighting. Be sure to like and subscribe for more cats.
Yes. Buddy, can I get you out of the way? You're kind of blocking my nose. So, Ted McMillan, I think he's a pretty good football player. Would he be the wide receiver 1 last year? Absolutely not. You could argue he was the first receiver off the board this year. Depends on what you qualify Hunter as. But regardless, he's the clear top target in Carolina. Bryce Young really came around down the stretch last year. They have a great offensive line. Nobody that I really consider a threat. I was not a Leggett guy coming out, and he didn't do much to change my mind last year. Cokeheads unite. I think he's a solid slot guy, but Coker's not going to take anything away from McMillan. The opportunity's there. I like the big body. I think he's going to be more Drake London and less than N'Keal Harry. And that's the type of guy I'm more than comfortable putting in my A tier. I'm not going to die over the guy. So Evan, if you disagree, you're more than welcome to. He's far from a perfect prospect, but I'm happy putting him in A tier. He's my 104.
Can I offer we put him in the B tier alone? Because I think there is a big tier break there. There's top 10 draft capital for a receiver. The running backs are second round running backs that we're pretty excited about, but maybe not over the moon about. I think I've run into this problem before. Tet McMillan's staring at me at the 106, 107, and I have to draft him. Maybe I need a running back, but I think Tet McMillan is going to be worth more than those running backs in one calendar year, and that's the right way to play Dynasty to me.
That works for me. I'm good with being a B tier alone.
And I think I would argue for a running back in that grouping.
Just one? Is it Travion?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Sell me on it.
Travion Henderson's an efficiency back who the new head coach is effectively told the team that he wanted. All right. You have that paired with the fact that it is an offense that wants to be able to get the ball in their running back's hands, wants to be able to protect Drake London. What have you said so many times? Travion Henderson may be the best pass blocking back in the class.
Pound for pound, baby.
If you're trying to get him to chip defensive ends, if you're trying to get him to pick off a linebacker off the edge to then be able to just drift out in the flat and give Drake May an easy target to be able to make, I realistically see a path for Travion Henderson having 70 targets this year. If you tell me that a running back is having 70 targets, yeah, I'm going to put him in the B tier all day.
Okay. So Tet and Travion, I support that. I have them 5 and 6. So
yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay.
I don't think the Patriots are the best landing spot just because they're such a disaster of a franchise. And I say that as a Patriots fan, but he's definitely, I'd take him a step ahead of Judkins, who's my 107.
All right. So I'll fill him in the C tier. Are there other guys you want to throw in there?
David, go ahead and list off your C tier guys if you have anybody that you're thinking there. Because I have a pretty wide C tier.
Yeah, my C tier is pretty wide too. 108 for me is like Buka. I don't care that he's in Tampa. He's a good player. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin aren't getting any younger. I think there's a bright future. And Baker, say what you will about him, flaws and all, he knows how to get the ball to his wide receivers. 109, this one's going to be controversial. Jackson Dart, he's a first-round quarterback. I know it feels gross, but at the same time, he's got the draft capital. He's been really good in the right system. Can he be an effective pitching machine by just chucking it to Malik Neighbors? We'll see. 110, Tyler Warren. I know Ben Johnson likes Colston Loveland more. I do not. I think he's going to be a really good player. Love what he can do in a creative offense. The quarterback situation, not ideal. And it's a tight end, so you're probably going to have to wait a little bit. And then 111, Caleb Johnson. This might hurt the Harvey truthers out there. I know Harvey got the better draft capital, got the betting landing spot, but Caleb Johnson is the better player, has a pretty clear path to a starting job and admittedly a gross offense. But over time, I'm going to take the guy that I think is better, that has just as easy a job to start.
Okay, so we have Judkins, Egbuka, Dart, Warren, Johnson.
Yes.
Evan, yell at him.
I have Loveland in this tier too.
I do too.
And I also don't have Dart in this tier.
So,
we can add Loveland too. I won't argue Loveland.
So I have Loveland in this tier. So here, let's put both of the tight ends in there. Tyler Warren. You guys get to listen to the click clack. This is actually fantasy football ASMR. Colston Loveland. We'll talk about Dart in a second. I think the two running backs in Harvey and Johnson are a tier below. How do you guys feel about that?
I run into pre-draft take paralysis. And it's really hard for me to distinguish between what it looked like Harvey did early and what he did in college and what he can do early versus the longevity of what Caleb Johnson could bring to the Steelers offense. That's where I run into the issue. So I can understand Mike pushing them to the D tier.
I think there are going to be two very different reasons for pushing them down. For draft purposes. Because I think the market, like the way that, did I freeze?
Yeah, you froze a little bit there.
That's heartbreaking. So I have Harvey rated higher pre-draft during your draft, because I think the market is going to correct too far after their rookie seasons. I think Harvey is going to have a better 2025. Johnson's going to be slugging in a bad Pittsburgh offense. And we're going to see people value Harvey higher, at which point I will be banging the table in the 2026 offseason, flip Harvey for Johnson, flip Harvey for Johnson, flip Harvey for Johnson.
Have you ever heard of Trey Sermon?
I have. I think Harvey is a much better player.
Because this was the argument for Trey Sermon at the back of the first.
Well, Trey Sermon.
Yes, Harvey's better than Trey Sermon. I'm not going to get into that fight. I'm not a Harvey guy, but I'm not that much not a Harvey guy. But
I think Sermon went to the worst landing spot possible for his skill set.
And then he failed everywhere else too.
Yeah, well, he was fun for the Colts as a backup for a week, so that was cool. But so other names that we have talked about, Jackson Dart. I have Dart right at 12. I have one more receiver that I would consider putting in here, and then I think that brings us to the whole first round for me. But it's not the receiver Evan's shaking his head about. It's the other one in Chicago.
Interesting. Okay.
No, I'd take him over that other receiver.
Okay, so
we can't say his name.
Instead of talking in weird anonymous terms, I thought Luther Burden was a better prospect than Matthew Golden.
Correct.
I think he is still a better player. Like, nothing has changed based off of draft capital by the Packers. If we've seen anything, the Packers are terrible at drafting players in the first round. Shout out Lucas Van Ness, my homie. Never even started at Iowa. They burned a first-round pick on him because he looked good and interviewed well. I just think that Burden, with a chip on his shoulder, with DJ Moore already getting mad at the environment around him, there's a world where Luther Burden is beating out Odunze, maybe beating out Moore. Like there's a world where he's getting more targets than we're willing to admit, and he is very good with them. So
yeah, Burden over Golden, I'm very comfortable saying that. I'm not sure if I'd put him C tier though.
So do we want to call the tier? I would put Jackson Dart in this tier, but I also have 2 players rated over him. So, or no, 1 left, but it's Burden.
Okay. Yeah, I very much think that this is a stopping point in the C tier. I don't have anybody else, and personally, I have Jackson Dart in the D tier for me.
Well, you're outvoted 2-3. It's Jackson Dart season, baby. Go Big Blue. All right, now I got to figure out how to edit this.
Oh, text is too big. Put him in D tier.
I know, that's it. It's really a formatting issue is the reason he's in D tier. Biscuits and gravy. While I'm doing formatting, do you guys want to start talking about the D tier?
All right, so D tier, we already have RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson in the C tier, right, Mike?
I thought we agreed to push them down.
Yeah, okay. I thought we were pushing them down. What we see is where we're at.
I'll fill those 2 running backs in.
Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey. We've already kind of hit on this. You know, it is do you want future production? Do you want now production? If you're a win now team, made playoffs last year, you're looking for that final push, that final piece. Sure, totally understand why you're going with RJ Harvey there. He has the best path to early production. Caleb Johnson is more of a slow burn type of play. Obviously, Jalen Warren's still there. That will eat into it. And Arthur Smith is still Arthur Smith. So who knows what he's actually going to do with that offense. But moving on to the wide receivers, very clearly for me, Burden Golden in this tier. I think that is without question. Now, what is a question is that's the end for me.
Yeah, it's a very hard stopping point right here.
Yep.
These are the last of the guys I'm excited to draft. And for being honest, like Harvey, he is D tier. He's a step above the next guys we're going to list, but I'm still not that excited about it. I've just been burned too many times on running back lands and perceived great opportunity, and we overlook all the warning signs. I don't think Harvey's as bad as the Keyshawn Vaughns, the Trey Sermons, but I just can't get too excited about a guy just based on opportunity because I wasn't in on him before. I'm not going to be in on him now.
So did you include Matthew Golden?
Yeah, Golden's in there.
Matthew Golden is in this tier. I was going to say, actionable takeaway here. If you're sitting at that 204, 205, because based off of the guys that we've listed, 203 is the very clear cutoff for us.
Yes.
In this draft before you have a very large step to the next profiles. How much are you willing to give up? Because I know me personally, moving from 204 to 202, I gave up the 304 as well, and I was perfectly fine doing that.
I'd be comfortable with that, yeah.
You're getting a better caliber of prospects once we get here. I know Burden is in here, but you start getting to day 2 receivers, day 3 running backs, quarterbacks that we're frisky about, tight ends that either are good prospects in bad situations or medium prospects in good situations. I would be comfortable giving that up too.
Okay.
Yeah. There's 15 players that can help you right now. Do what you can to get them.
For E tier, what I would like to do, because I think this is going to get really weird really quick for the next 2 tiers, let's just bring up one name at a time, see how it goes, and if everyone is mad at you, we'll move them down to the F tier immediately. Cool?
Let's do it.
All right.
I will lead the way if that's cool with you guys. I'm just going straight off of some of my rankings. You guys can check the full thing over out at Football Guys. But Jaden Higgins. I know I wasn't the biggest supporter pre-draft, but I thought he was right in that tier of receivers that is probably going to go early-ish day 2. Teams are going to value him because he has a big physical skill set, touch the field a little bit. he lands in the perfect situation for a guy like him. Nico Collins has not been the picture of health. And now you have baby Nico Collins in a CJ Stroud offense. There's a world where he ends up with 110 targets from CJ Stroud, and I'm willing to bet on that.
Yeah, E-tier is fine.
Cool.
David.
What else do you guys want to talk about?
You got it, David.
Kyle Williams. Love the guy. Obviously, I don't love him as much as the top 15 guys on this name, but he lands in a perfect fit with the Patriots. He's probably their only like really reliable young wide receiver. Stephon Diggs, maybe he comes back from the dead. Who knows? Probably not. What I'm honestly betting on. But he gets open, and he's great after the catch. Two skills that work really well when you have a quarterback like Drake May who can read the defense well. He's an accurate passer, making buy time after the pocket. So if the play breaks down, Williams can get open quickly, May can find him. And there's really nobody here fighting for targets. I'm a big fan of what Kyle Williams can do this year.
David, I 1000% agree. I like Kyle Williams. I had a great time talking about him with Jetpack Galileo. He is my number 20 prospect in Superflex rankings. The funny thing is, Sleeper ADP hasn't updated yet. It is May 6th while we're recording this. If they update it on May 7th, this doesn't exist anymore. But you can get him. I got him at like the 402, gotten him in the mid third. Like for some reason, they think that he's an undraftable, terrible human being. And if there's a player from this tier that you want to just play chicken with the rest of your league mates, you can probably wait and still get a day 2 receiver tied to Drake May in a wide open offense.
Yeah, all great information. My guy that's going to go in this list is Trey Harris. It's pretty simple. Herbert can push the ball downfield. He needs a deep threat because Quentin Johnston is certified meh at football. So you give him a better wide receiver on the outside. Sure, he needs to learn a route tree. He needs to learn how to run more than 4 different routes on a football field. But what can they do early and often? They can be able to use him to push the ball downfield. He can get that 2 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown type of game to be able to stretch the field. And hopefully there's enough going on in the run game that the safeties are allocating their eyes to the backfield, and he's able to go one-on-one with a corner and be able to win.
Yeah, I think defenses are going to they're going to over adjust to Ladd because he's the best receiver in the league. I'm just going to go ahead and make this smaller now because we're going to need it. I completely agree with him here. David, same deal?
Same deal. Perfect explanation. Born for the E tier.
Cool. I'm going to make it a little bigger because that's too small. You can't see it. But
you just go last names.
That's a good call. This is why you get paid the big bucks. How do you guys feel about Cam Scatterbo this year?
He's probably where I draw the line.
Like the bottom of the tier, or
bottom of the tier, like, you know, 4th round draft capital, don't really care for that, but pretty open backfield. Tyrone Tracy's a 5th round pick of himself. But he's in a bad offense, goes to a team that with quarterbacks that do not throw to the running back, so he's probably not going to get that many targets, especially when I think Tracy's the better receiver to begin with. And you're basically just hoping for a guy that's a really good downhill runner that's going to be a touchdown threat in an offense that probably won't score touchdowns. He'll still, pretty decent shot. He gets a good workload, which puts him in E tier, but severely limits his ceiling.
I disagree with
Tyler Algier. His rookie season is a very plausible outcome for Scott.
I think I disagree on the targets to running backs thing because Russell Wilson targeted running backs at, I want to say the 5th or 6th highest rate last year. Jameis Winston
happened to Russell Wilson I loved?
He's a check down king now. And I got in a discussion with somebody last year saying that was just because, Denver's offense stunk and he had no one else to throw it to. This is just who Russ is now, which is sad, but good for Scatterbo.
Okay.
And then I think the offense should improve with when you go from the experience the Giants had last year to Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, or a 1st round quarterback, things have to get better.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't hear what I'm not saying. The New York Giants will be better in 2025 than they were in 2024, but like
Still bad.
going from a dumpster fire to a garbage fire, it's still a fire.
Yeah, you're right. But I think there's a chance that he takes Tracy's job, and I'm okay betting on that at late second round, running back with a job.
Might as well.
Yep. Evan?
I don't think it's just a chance.
sorry.
Mike. I think it's a high percentage chance.
Yep. But David, sorry, I went out of order.
It's okay. I'll forgive you. The gross one. Tyler Shaw, baby. He's going to start, and he's a quarterback, and that matters. And I'm not going to defend it further than that.
He is almost the end of this tier for me. Look, Derek Carr might not be ready for the season, which is wild. He's a quarterback, maybe with a job. He's the only quarterback Kellen Moore wants to be on the team. And I refuse to admit that he could be good, but he could. We could be wrong because quarterback scouting is witch magic. And like based on raw physical traits, there's enough there that makes you think, yeah, maybe if you just forget that he's 90. Yeah. All right. Evan?
Mike.
Oh no.
It should be Mason Taylor.
Oh.
Okay. I hear the groans, David, and I can understand those. But what do we have? We have a tight end that is very likely, based off of what he does, to stick around the league for a very long time. That late in the second round, you can be getting to just sit on your bench and potentially accrue a little bit of value, because odds are he's probably going to be the second highest target earner. Maybe Breece Hall is the second highest target earner in this offense, so maybe Taylor ends up being the third highest. But it's Garrett Wilson or bust for this offense. We all know that. Once again, Will Fields utilize the tight end. We've seen a tale of two Fields. So what Justin Fields are we going to get, Mike? Are we going to get the one that you loved in Pittsburgh? Are we going to get the one that people loved at Ohio State?
Can't wait to see the Jets logo on that when we get minicamp.
It's gonna be sick.
Right. But yeah, we have a tight end that went high in the draft, has high draft capital, has the hands to be able to make the catches, sticky hands. Sure, he's not going to be a blazer down the field, but when you start talking PPR points, to be a high-end tight end too, you really don't need to score that many points when you start looking at that. And I think that's within the realm of outcomes. You know, he's a guy that you really probably won't be starting every week. And if you do, you're probably on a full teardown rebuild that you're just looking for somebody that is young with potential upside to be able to throw into that position. Let's see, I'm just sorting right here. Yeah, tight end 12, Cade Otton on Fantasy Pros last year, 10 points per game. Like, if you're telling me he only has to score 8 or 9 points per game over a full season to be able to be considered a high-end tight end too, I think that's well within the range of outcomes.
Can I put another idea out here? And David, I don't know how you feel about this. There were 3 tight ends that went almost back to back to back in the draft. And I think all of them, I have them ranked back to back to back based on how I viewed them pre-draft and how I think they fit into their offense. But I think Arroyo, Taylor, and Ferguson should all be in the same tier.
And me personally, I just cannot get excited about any tight end that's drafted outside of the first round. Right now, there are only 2 tight ends in fantasy football worth rostering for Dynasty. And the odds that Mason Taylor turns into the third are really, really slim. Evan, you mentioned Cade Otton's what you need to do to get, like, basically for Taylor to be a low-end or high-end tight end too. The way I read that is, why am I wasting a second-round pick on a guy where I can just get Cade Otton for nothing?
If I may offer, if you had said I don't care about any tight ends outside of the first round, you would have missed on Trey McBride, Sam Laporta. there's a slew of guys second round and early third round are actually like pretty sweet for tight ends.
Yeah, but I mean, for every one of those, you're going to miss far more often than you're going to hit. And the upside, the misses are so common that, like, unless there's a guy who really has elite measurables, really has an elite reason for me to believe this one will be special, I'm not interested. I accept the fact that I will miss the Laportas, but it means that I'm not giving up second-round picks for Michael Mayer or anything like that.
So you would say all of these tight ends, send them to the F tier, get rid of them. Evan, do you feel strongly one way or the other about all three of them being in one, or do you only have Mason Taylor in E?
I only have Mason Taylor. I love Elijah Arroyo and what he could be, but you're telling me that Elijah Arroyo most likely will be buried on the depth chart or be fighting for targets in that offense at tight end for the 2025 season.
Who's he buried behind? Noah Fant?
What do you mean? Noah Fant was they liked Noah Fant.
You mean Noah Fart?
Former first round pick, to David's point.
My phone always autocorrects Fant to fart, and I can't.
And I wouldn't be drafting Fant that high either.
So what I'm saying here is my argument for Mason Taylor is there is a higher potential outcome for 2025 stats from Mason Taylor than any of the other two tight ends. If you disagree with that, then we can put them all in the F tier.
I think
if I had to put a tight end in E, it would be Taylor, but I'm putting them all in F.
I think Terrence Ferguson has the highest chance for 2025 just because we've seen McVay's track record of draft a player, know a role. This was their first player that they picked. They traded out of the first round, and they were really excited to get him in the offense. They think they can use him in some creative ways. Maybe it's still the Higbee show on one leg. Maybe someone else fills in there, but I think with where we're at, I think all of them are going to end up in F, which makes me sad because I wanted all of them in E. But, David, we have just crushed Evan's dreams.
Sorry, Evan.
We have a couple other
That's
players.
for Jackson Dart.
I know we said this draft is the draft all the running backs class, but I think that starts in the next round. I'm going to throw another receiver up there. How do you guys feel about Jack Besh on the Raiders?
I mean, fine. I like he's literally the cutoff. He's the EF cutoff for me.
But he's in E.
I wouldn't argue too hard either way. Personally, F, but I'm just low on most of the later guys in this class. If you want to put him in E, I won't argue against it. He's right on the cusp.
I don't want to take any receivers after the guys that we've already listed, honestly.
I think he is one. I have two more receivers, and it's a very similar thesis for both. I'll just do it now. So it's Jack Besh and it's Jalen Knoll. I think there's a world where Kirk doesn't return to form like we all hope that he will after his groin injury, and he just steps into the slot role in a CJ Stroud offense. I think that Besh, who is the wide receiver 2 in Las Vegas?
I mean, wide receiver 2 doesn't matter because it's going to be the third receiving option in that offense.
The third receiving option,
maybe the fourth behind the running back.
The third with Geno Smith is exciting. The third
with Ashton, Jeanty, and Pete Carroll is less exciting.
Well, that makes me sad, but you're not wrong.
And Chip Kelly. Let's not forget that even when Chip was with Oregon, he was running the crap out of the ball.
Okay. So you want to put both of those receivers in F tier?
They're both F for me.
Yes.
All right. Well, I got steamrolled, but that's okay. That's why we're doing this all at the same time. David, who else are you going to try to put in E, and then Evan and I are going to crush your dreams?
The only other one for E, and this is admittedly controversial, I won't fight it too hard when you guys don't like it, is Jalen Milroe, just because what could happen. Will he work out? Almost certainly not, but if he does, holy crap, it's going to be special. He's going to Seattle. They just gave Sam Darnold, on paper, a lot of money. In reality, it's a glorified one-year deal. If Sam Darnold goes back to playing like he did before Minnesota, he's out. The organization has probably pretty good job security. I'd be surprised, no matter how bad this year goes, if they clean house. So if Milroe plays well and practices well, and Darnold craps the bed, which I expect him to do, I think last year was a fluke, he's starting next year. With that skill set, you don't really need to be that good to put up quarterback 1 weeks. And if I can get that late second, yeah, why not?
RB2 in the class, Jalen Milroe. quarterback 3 or 4 in the class, depending on how you want to shake out Shaw or Shucks. But I think Sam Darnold stinks. And I think when Jalen Milroe plays, if he ever does, you're plugging him into your Superflex spot and feeling really good about it. So I'm fine taking a late 2 on him. Evan, how do you feel about it?
Whatever. It's a running quarterback. He's a better runner than he is passer. And we saw Justin Fields have plenty of usable weeks as a heavy runner.
And people keep saying, what if he's Malik Willis? Like, Malik Willis looked fine in
He had a top 10 season last year, did he not?
Yeah,
a top 10 game.
Not season.
Yeah, Packers Malik Willis was pretty good. Titans one's terrible, but
yeah, and when he plays, he's fantasy relevant and fun. Yeah. So I'm fine taking that guy. Look, this is probably bench specific. If your benches are shallow, you don't have a lot of room to hold these quarterbacks, you probably want a more sure thing. If you're in a sicko league like us that has 40 bench spots, go take Milroe, throw him all the way at the end, dust him off when you need to, plug him in. Evan, do you have anyone else you want in E tier?
In E tier, no.
I have one, and I think I'm about to go to war. Is Travis Etienne going to be on the Jaguars roster? And is he good enough that in 2025 that he's going to own the job regardless?
He'll be on the roster in 2025. Will he own the job?
No.
Nobody in this backfield is going to actually own the job.
Yeah, it's a three-headed monster from hell. Bigsby, Etienne, and Tootin are all going to eat each other up, and none of them are going to be useful.
Or
Tootin's going to get the same amount of carries that Boston Scott used to with the Eagles.
Oh my God!
It's going to be like 45 carries, just enough to be like, oh yeah, he can do something, and then never enough to actually be useful.
Boston Scott sat on my first Dynasty roster for way too long. My argument for Tootin, it's a new coaching staff that has no emotional ties to Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne. They prioritized Tootin in the early 4th round. Good skill set, good receiving back, is able to be efficient on his touches. I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and he's going to be Bucky Irving, but I'm saying if a day 3 running back is, it's him.
I mean, it's fine. He has the speed to be able to break runs. You look at the backfield and you look at their playmakers and what they've tried to do this offseason with playmakers, and you can clearly see that they're prioritizing speed. They're prioritizing stretching the field vertically and horizontally, trying to be able to create mismatches based off of that speed. So, yeah, I mean, sure, there's a path forward for Tootin. Once again, it's one of those running backs that I feel like has been getting steamed up enough to the point where I'm saying there's going to be a buy window in 2025 where people start panicking because he's producing 3 to 5 points per week.
Yes, I think that's probably how he's going to start the season. Depends on how active your league is. If your league is active enough that you can get those panic sells, please don't draft. I saw Tootin go at the 202 the other day. Like, please pump the brakes, chill out, relax. I have him as a late second, and I think that is in this tier, but I've been outvoted. So let's keep naming guys in the F tier until we hit an hour. P.S. If you guys listen this far, like, subscribe, follow, give Evan a compliment. We've been sending him screenshots of everyone that said something nice, and it makes his dopamine go through the roof. But David, who do you want to start with F tier after we've put in all of our unwanted luggage there?
Jaden Blue, baby. Somebody has to start. That is my argument. Begin, end.
I mean,
I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying when your competition is what's left of Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, like, why not? And you just saw what Rico Dowdle did.
Yeah, but he's not a good running back. He's fun.
And the others are?
Well, what's funny is that those guys are better running backs. They're way worse athletes. Jaden Blue does not know how to play running back, and he has no desire to learn. He's afraid of contact from what I've seen on tape. I don't know him. Maybe he loves contact, but he just doesn't hit the weight room enough. I think he's going to be a
I'm
very
not
fun
defending
scout.
Jaden Blue, the football player. I'm defending Jaden Blue, the guy that is going to touch the ball.
This is going to be a big tier then, so we need to speed run it. Evan, do you want to put Blue in here?
No.
All right.
I don't want to put any Cowboys player on this board.
All right, Eagles boy. Who would you like to put in there instead? And we'll see if we need space at the end for Blue.
Okay. Shedeur Sanders because of the name. It's complete artificial dynasty value. It's complete artificial dynasty value. It's complete on the fact that somebody is going to have a value on him. Also, you look at this Cleveland quarterback room, and man, there are guys that can throw a football and college quarterbacks that should be backups in the NFL.
I
Okay.
can't do it. You can't make me care about a 5th round quarterback.
So here's my concern. We draft him. We recommend to people to draft him.
We were talking 301 to 305.
Why not take Dylan Gabriel?
Because profile-wise and name-wise, Sanders is going to hold better. Sanders has a better chance. Look, Andrew Berry, when he was looking at Dylan Gabriel, I guarantee you he was looking to get his backup quarterback that is cheap, that can be a cheap quarterback while they ride out the Deshaun Watson contract. And then they realized that Shedeur kept slipping, and they said, why not we just go get another cheap quarterback that we got 4 years of guys that should be NFL backups for a decent career. Don't get me wrong, but they should be NFL backups. And I mean, if you want to take Gabriel and Shedeur back to back, fine, be my guest. But I personally wouldn't do that.
I love that we're having this conversation because we haven't talked a lot about Shedeur yet. Like, we texted a little during the draft, but nothing crazy. My take on the Shedeur thing is that they took Gabriel because they were like, yes, this can be a backup. Maybe he could spot start for us. I have the same read on why they took Gabriel. I think the owner stepped in for them to pick Sanders because that
wouldn't surprise me at all.
That war room looked sad. No one was excited. It wasn't like, oh, we got our guy. He slipped so far. It was more like, why are we doing this? And
it's one of the highest selling jerseys already for the Browns.
Yeah, no, it's. If you play in a points per jersey league, please draft Sanders. I don't have any of those, but that would actually be fun. We should do that. But I don't think the coaching staff believes in Sanders, which means that they're not going to let him start unless the owner steps in and says start him, which could happen. It's the Browns. I think both of those quarterbacks are out of this tier because I'd rather just hammer position players. This is when we talked about, like, take the running back, take the running back, take the running back. Like, take the running back that could be a handcuff or a starter if they win the job.
Okay, so if you say that, you can't put Sanders on the board, but take Blue off it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the argument you're going to make, Mike, Blue should be on this board. I'll agree with David on that.
But I got like 4 more running backs in front of Blue. But okay, I will put Blue
Samson should be on the board.
Blue,
Samson should be on the board.
I don't think Ollie Gordon should be on the board.
Ooh, okay.
Devin
Neal is questionable.
I think Neal has a chance. Let's talk about Woody Marks.
Ooh, yeah.
Why?
Did they not? Didn't they trade to get into the 4th round to pick him? Am I remembering that right?
Probably. It's Nick Caserio. I'm sure there was a trade involved.
Yeah, they just went for it. Trade to get Woody Marks. We're gonna do some quick Googling while on the show.
Yes, they did trade to go get Woody Marks.
Yes, and I think they not trade.
I think they
traded
next year.
A 26th third. This is the Jalen Wright thing, except what if we actually liked the prospect? Joe Mixon's 1 billion years old. Who is going to be the backup there?
And it's probably Marks over Pierce. So, like, from that sense, I'm interested. It's a decent offense, but the offensive line's atrocious. So how are you going to get yards behind that?
Bad offensive line means lots of checkdowns. What's Woody Marks' best skill set?
Got me there.
Cowabunga, my dudes. So Woody Marks or no?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, yeah. Evan's dialed in. I can see it. Wooks. Marks. I'm on Wookiee brain. Went to Star Wars land. What other names would you like to put in there?
Going
down
my right.
We already have the tight ends in there, right?
Yep. Tight ends are there.
I mean, I want to add Fannin to that. You're going to tell me Cleveland, who utilizes the tight end incredibly well, who is just coming off of David Njoku, averaging, I think, 13.5, 14 points per game, somewhere in that range, along with wide receivers in that offense that are certified poo-poo. David Njoku historically misses time every single season. What
was our running comp for our guy going into this?
For Fannin? It's a good question. I don't remember.
Isaiah
stiff hips. Yeah. Okay.
This is the Isaiah. He's going to be Isaiah Likely in Cleveland.
Sure.
I think that's fine. I think he's the bottom of the tier. I would rather target the other three guys, but I'm fine putting Fannin in there.
Yeah.
David, Evan, big yawn. Let's get crushing it.
I think I'm done. This is it for the F tier. There's no one else that from here on out, it's just day 3 running back dart throws.
Those day 3 running back dart throws.
Jordan James.
Like to bring up. Yes, Jordan James, baby.
Yes.
Who is
Mike and I were texting separately about this. Jordan James is the quintessential player that he went to the landing spot that if Christian McCaffrey, for whatever reason, does not come back fully healthy or misses a game or two, as soon as Jordan James is announced as the expected starter, you can flip him for a 26-second. Done.
He is my favorite 26-2 to trade for or draft.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Worth it for that alone. I guess Hunter, throw him out there. Rams running back room. I'm not a big Williams guy. Blake Corum, you can't expect me to care about him. Might as well give him a shot.
Yeah, I think that starts diving into that next tier.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's interesting because, I mean, you can make an argument for Giddens, make an argument for Hunter, make an argument for Bashard Smith just because of the offense that he's in. The rest of these guys, you can make an argument for being just guys that you're going to just say, hey, I have a fourth round.
The rest of the day 3 running backs. Well said.
Yeah.
Yep. I think there's a couple of wide receivers that we should just talk about really quickly, and then we'll call it a night. People are going to be really excited about the Jalen Royals landing spot. It wasn't the draft capital that people were excited for, but any world where he turns into something?
I mean, multiple injuries.
Yeah, it would take multiple injuries. We've been down this road with Kansas City fast day 3 running backs before. It doesn't go well. It's not an automatic. You're not going to get the next Tyreek Hill. You're probably not even getting the next Xavier Worthy. So just in the 4th, just get a day 3 running back. They're better returns on investment.
And then last name I want to bring up, there's only one day 2 receiver we haven't talked about. I'm going to make there's 2. Tesla.
Who's the other one?
Pat Bryant. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone forgets he went in the 3rd round.
God, he totally did, didn't he?
To a wide open receiving room with a bunch of speedy little slot guys. And he could be the heir apparent to Courtland Sutton. I don't think he's a good prospect. I didn't grade him very highly ahead of time, but Sean Payton loves to throw the ball to people that we think are bad. So
yeah, in the 4th, might as well.
I think Pat Bryant is worth a dart throw there. And then Tesla, guys, stop steaming up draft boards. His ADP is in front of Kyle Williams because people are silly. he's straight up. He's there to run wind sprints for the Lions. They want Jameson Williams to do more than run wind sprints now. So Tesla's now in the wind sprint role. Cool.
Yep.
Any other names, guys?
I think that about covers it for me. Yeah.
Well, that has been a delightful time. If you guys have enjoyed the show, be sure to like, subscribe so you can catch more of our episodes. We're doing Dynasty Outlooks all summer, redraft breakdowns, tiers. We already did a wide receiver one before the draft. Now we're going to do one after the draft in a little bit. Did you guys have fun?
Had a blast.
Always
do.
Gosh, you guys are the best. I missed you. But as always, thank you for listening. And Evan, I love you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.